successful evening.
How technology is changing the way we live and how we, in turn, can change technology. So join us. Podcasts on the BBC World Service are supported by advertising. Here we go then, let's jump in. It's Tuesday the 9th of October. It's the podcast part before we then kind of edit in the bit that went on the radio. I'm Gareth Mitchell with Glenn Boddington this week. Hello, Glenn.
Hello, Gareth.
I think the last time we sat at a table together wasn't over dinner last night. No, it was, and it wasn't sadly, but no, the last time we would have been at the Radio Theatre.
Yes, it was live at the Radio Theatre a couple of weeks ago, yeah. Which was a great evening, actually, really special.
Indeed, we had a nice time. And in the podcast, we like to sometimes give a glimpse behind the scenes of the programme, and we can reveal that there had been a few transport problems. So we had the producer and half the cast who nearly didn't make it in time for the programme. We soldiered on, didn't we?
We did, particularly, Gareth, you did very well.
Oh, I wasn't fishing
yeah,
for it.
well, no, but you did do half a day of producing as well as presenting.
I got, believe you me, I got the easy job. So anyway, it all worked out, and we had a nice evening. So I just wonder also, whilst we're in congratulatory mood, if I could just welcome a few more listeners who passed our entrance exam.
Yes.
And to explain if this means anything to you, dear listener, we have a Facebook group if you want to be part of the conversations around the programme and to discuss things with other listeners, which is a conversation.
Good place to park.
By definition, on Facebook, just go to BBC Digital Planet to find us. And there's a jolly friendly Facebook group, but there is a catch in it, Wellington. There is. You have to answer two, admittedly simple, but two questions to prove that you're not a bot or a fraudster. And it's not that I have people to do this. I personally.
Yes, I know.
Go through all the.
Everyone should know, Gareth does.
I go through the applications.
Go through every single application
That we laughingly call our entrance exam. So well done to Jenny Dustin, Gabriel, or it could be Gabriel Zachman, Peter Williams, Nikki Scarlett, Joshua Price, a few that I may have mentioned in other podcasts as well, because I sometimes get my list mixed up. I'm a bad teacher. James McKenzie actually could bring some expertise to our group. So he says, because we were talking about credential stuffing quite a while ago, he said, which has been very applicable to the industry I work in, which is IP video surveillance, says James. And Gabriel says the app called O Europe, something we did recently on the programme, apparently doesn't seem to be available in the German iPhone App Store, apparently. We'll look into that. It's a shame if you can't get it in Germany. So that's the O Europa app. And many other listeners who have joined our throng, so thank you to you. On that, I think we're ready to jump into the programme.
Let's do the show.
Here it is. This is what it sounded like when it went out on the BBC World Service on the 9th of October. Hello everybody, I'm Gareth Mitchell and this is our World Technology Programme. Today, the alleged China super micro hack, electronics from a spray gun, DIY surround sound, and cinema goes interactive. So certainly a bit of entertainment in the back half of the programme going on, but we're going to have comment through the whole lot from Glenn Boddington this week. Hello, Glenn.
Hello, Gareth, and I'd just like to say happy Ada Lovelace Day. I think it's a very important day to recognise the women in science, technology, engineering and maths.
Rightly so. Okay, well let's start with those allegations over the last week of Chinese hacking of server equipment destined for the big technology companies. A Bloomberg investigation has concluded that a Chinese manufacturer had inserted surveillance chips into server equipment that ended up at the likes of Apple, Amazon and some US government agencies. The organisations have dismissed those claims, leaving many to question the evidence underpinning that Bloomberg report. But whatever the truth is of the incident, it is an opportunity certainly to ask whether such a hack could happen and just how secure are the supply chains of crucial computer equipment. Technology correspondent Mark Ward has been covering the story here at the BBC.
Well, this was the cover story in Bloomberg Business Week, and it involved Amazon, Apple, 30 of the companies, US warships, the Department of Defense, and they were all companies, organizations that were using video servers made by a company called Elemental Technologies. Now, Amazon was interested in that company because a few years ago, 2015, I think, and Elemental had come up with some hardware and software that was great at compressing video. The servers that Elemental was using were made by another company called Supermicro Computer Inc. And these computers were assembled in China, hardly surprising given China's domination of the global electronics manufacturing market. And apparently while Amazon was doing some due diligence on the technologies, making sure they worked as advertised, apparently they tripped over a tiny chip inside of a grain of rice that had been added to these servers as they were being made in the Chinese factories. And the claim is that the tiny chip has a little computer in it that effectively can sample anything passing through that server, and it has a backdoor that can let you into any organisation that is using those machines, and that's what Bloomberg was claiming.
A huge claim, which was then rapidly denied by Amazon and Apple.
That's right, yeah. I've reported on technology for quite a while, and generally with those very large tech firms, you get really wishy-washy statements. They hate to say anything definitive. But what was striking about these statements was how detailed they were, the language used in them. Apple boldly said there is no truth in this story. Amazon was a little more, that wasn't quite so definitive, but said it had investigated as well and was really struggling to understand how Bloomberg had reached its conclusions.
So far be it for us to sit here and pontificate as to whether the Bloomberg report is true or not. I mean, is there anything we know about how likely it is to be true? Because Bloomberg have said they put a whole load of evidence together, and obviously that evidence has been very strongly rejected by the technology company.
That's right, yeah. I think Bloomberg said it's been investigating for about 12 months. It has 17 insiders, including former spies, as well as people who work at Apple and Amazon. So if you are a nation state, then yeah, and you could do something like this would just be perfect. It would, because, it's a great video, and it was that ideal backdoor, then yeah, absolutely, you'd want to do it. But equally, I talk to quite a lot of security companies, and they say that there's been a big sea change in the way that those nation states operate. They're getting less and less about the big ticket sort of operations, and that's certainly what this would have been, because you're talking about involving people in a factory, you're talking about changing a production line, you're talking about a lot of people. There's a lot of moving parts there to coordinate, and China may have a good handle on the loyalties of those people, but you've got to think at some point something somewhere would get out, and it would be more obvious that this had happened. And I think the change that we've seen is that those nations are now going for much more strategic campaigns, and that's to use the kinds of techniques that you see from just your standard organised cyber criminal. That makes it much easier to hide. Whereas this is, it's fairly obvious something emerges from a Chinese factory with a spy chip on it.
And I suppose whatever is or isn't going on in this particular story, at least it's an opportunity to think about vulnerabilities that could be in the supply chain, and to ask, I suppose, quite an important question mark: whatever's going on here, how feasible it would be anyway at the level of manufacturing to put a little surveillance chip into a device, ship that device, and then have that chip activate when it's put into a server in the United States or the UK or wherever.
Yeah, but that's one of the curious aspects about the story, is that at no point, I don't think Bloomberg said that this chip had been turned on. I think that it was sort of, they think they've got ahead of the curve and they got it before the spies or whatever have activated it. But I've seen some technical analysis that did look at the evidence Bloomberg did put forward, and it said that if you were going to do it, if you picked the spot on the circuit board that Bloomberg identified, that'd be a great place to do it, because it dips into that data as it's flowing across from one part of the world to another. So yeah, it's feasible, and certainly there's been warnings from the FBI about supply chain attacks, and we've seen some very successful ones happen, certainly on the software basis, but less on the hardware. It's certainly one of those things that the bad guys know about and try to get into supply chains, because then you just infect one widely used bit of software, and that takes care of the distribution for you. And they can be very effective. But at the moment, we're just waiting that definitive word, and on both sides there's competing claims.
Certainly are. That is Mark Ward talking to me earlier on. Now, how to make the Internet of Things and Internet of even more things, because the things need to communicate with the other things. That's how it goes. Now, that connectivity is wireless, and for it to be wireless, you need devices to have a little antenna, an aerial, to transmit and receive the signal. Well, things have moved on since I used a metal coat hanger as my own car aerial years ago, because now we're talking about antennas that are so miniature you can spray or even paint them onto the surface. And in nanotechnology circles, they're all jolly excited about so-called hexagonal layered ternary transition metal carbides, carbonitrides and nitrides. You were writing that down, but no worries. They just call these materials maxines. That's all you need to know. They're called maxines. Professor Yuri Gagotsi of Drexel University in Philadelphia has recently speaking at a conference on the subject in Sweden, from where he spared me a few minutes to tell me why the whole idea of magazines as antennas has become so well received.
We were very, very happy with the result, because really antennas that we made not only can be put on any surface, printed, sprayed on the surfaces, but they also showed excellent performance.
And you make it all sound so simple. You know, you have these magazines, they're just a few atoms thick, and then you can paint them or spray them onto a surface, and suddenly you end up with an antenna a bit like the one on your phone. Is it really that simple?
Well, if it were that simple, it would not take us 2 years, right? To develop them. But as soon as we know how to get flakes of the right size with right properties, as we know how to make them into good quality films and they contact each other well and conduct electricity as a continuous film, as we learned how to make films so thin that becomes translucent or even transparent and still conduct electricity, now after we have learned all, it really becomes simple.
Right, so it does mean that you've shown that you can get metal that can be sprayed in very thin layers onto materials, and inevitably that can include the properties that make it an antenna. What kind of materials can you paint or spray these materials, these magazines onto?
Pretty much on almost any materials. These flakes are titanium carbide magazine flakes, so they have titanium atoms and carbon atoms. And on the surface they look very much like titanium oxide particles. So if you see white paint anywhere on the walls, with a very high probability this is titanium oxide. Sticks very well to paper, to most of plastics, to metal, ceramics. So basically we can put by spraying onto almost any surface. Maybe like it won't stick well to Teflon or polyethylene, but we can do some tricks treating those surfaces that magazine will stick even to them if, for example, we treat them by plasma before.
Right, so you end up with films that are so thin they're practically transparent. What kind of uses might this kind of magazine antenna have?
Well, as you can see in our modern world, we get more and more connected. For example, we are talking now using Skype on my computer. I have my cell phone, actually 2 different cell phones laying next to me. And our car, we communicate with our cars, we communicate lots of different things. But now things are also communicating to each other. For example, RFID tags which keep items safe in department stores, or advanced cards, or cards that open doors in your hotel rooms. Instead of magnetic strips, there is a radio frequency tag which allows longer distance communication without directly touching direct contact. And this device is actually expected to enable something which we call the Internet of Things, when all the items around us can communicate, can send signals that we can control them from our cell phone, for example, just simply with a voice command. And to enable this world, we need to have antennas for communications, pretty much placed everywhere. And those must be thin and sometimes even transparent, invisible. And of course, it should be easy to put them onto any surface. And we believe this is exactly where this type of printable or sprayable antennas may appear to be useful. Also, in many cases, we need our newspapers or clothes to bend, so we want to have antennas that can also be put on the surfaces that can be flexed, and these antennas can still work here. So I think those applications of Internet of Things, wearable Internet, and other personal and small electronic devices where this type of antennas will be particularly useful.
That's beautiful. You got to see Glenn Boddington giving a sense of some of the uses, many uses, the Internet of Things uses of these very good flexible spray-on antennas out of magazines.
I know, it's fascinating, isn't it? It really is. And I think very exciting is in the way he's talking about any surface. So wearables, electronic, making the prostheses electronic. Obviously, robot skins comes into this too, and there's a few other spray-ons which are looking at tactile, etc. But where I'm most excited, as you can guess, is can we start to use this on human skin?
Oh, yes, because he does mention that it can be sprayed onto human skin.
Well, right, and they seem to be going further on that research. So it's this whole beginning of this second skin discussion, actually having the spray on, which we would be able to use for, health monitoring, for medical, instead of implants, really, instead of medical implants, and human-machine interfaces, also connecting to each other. Yeah, so it's really, I think, very exciting. We've seen the electronic skin tattoos coming in, but this is in a whole step further.
Yeah, and just in a few words then, if we could connect, suppose we both had these antennas on us and we could communicate in different ways. Simple question, how does that make our lives better? Why is that so great? Okay, we can do it.
Well, actually, it could make our lives very much more chaotic, because, as he says, they're transparent, invisible, you wouldn't even know who was possibly sending you different things or signals, But I think in other ways, maybe let's think about it in terms of the concept of telepathy, but actually shifting that into a more information exchange or contacting each other and actually calling each other back and forward, etc.
So it's making us communicators potentially just deeper or intuitive. Yeah, no, I can see that.
So second skin, come on here.
Yes, okay. Yeah, we'll have a look with you and get to move on with those vaccines. Right, so you like your movies, but you might just wish that you could afford a surround sound system of your own, just like really high-end surround sound. Well now, you can have one without purchasing any extra kit. See how he likes the taste of his own medicine.
Orange markings.
Well, I know that probably doesn't sound very surrounding, just coming through your earbuds or your radio or whatever you're listening to this on, but it is an excerpt from a science fiction drama that streams through your laptop or tablet, but then also, here's the clever bit, it also sends audio feeds to your phone or any other devices you happen to have in your living room, so it could be your partner's tablet or the kids' phones or whatever, and between them they kind of form this surround sound system. We're going to hear more from the creators of the system, from one of the developers in a moment, but first let's go to you, Tony Churnside, because you're the co-producer of that drama. You're with Naked Productions. It's called Vostok K, and frankly more interested in the technology necessarily than the plot, but I still want to know what's going on in that clip, so just set this up for us if you will, Tony.
Sure, I don't want to give too much away for people who get the chance to listen to it, but it's set in the Cold War. It's about a Cold War R-rated pilot who is sent to intercept what they believe to be a Russian spaceship, and he discovers an experiment that's going on and kind of gets sucked into it.
Right, okay, so conspiracy-style science fiction drama. John Franklin is in the studio. He's got BBC R&D, so you did the sort of technical side of that, your team did. How is it that you're able to get all our different devices to become surround sound systems so that you can listen to that in 3 dimensions?
It's based on some technology that's called object-based audio, so we take all of the different aspects that make up the complex sound scene that you heard, so that might be plane flying past or cockpit noise, bullets, dialogue, talking to each other, and different sound effects, and rather than bundling them all together and sending them off, we keep them separate, which means that we've got much more flexibility to intelligently move them to different devices. And with that underpinning the technology, then we've got this challenge of how we actually deliver it to people's devices, so we have to come up with ways of connecting the phones and the tablets, making sure we can choose the right bits of audio to send to them, and then working out how we can make them play the sounds at the right time, so they have to be synchronized with each other as well.
Oh, so simple then. Lots going on. So I mean, the user experience is, for instance, I launched it on my laptop, so I use that as my main set of loudspeakers, as it were, so I've got stereo on that, and then I was able to set in my living room, my tablet on as one of the loudspeakers by pressing on a kind of 360-degree wheel where I could say that goes at the front, and I had my phone playing the audio behind me. And in that scene we heard there, which wouldn't have come over on the radio or the podcast, but you can hear the dialogue, the Capcom-style dialogue with the fighter pilot through the laptop speakers behind me. I can hear all the jet noises and so on. So what did you make of this event? This whole idea of pairing up all these devices.
I think it's that I get thinking of it in a family context, you know, when I'm at home with my husband and the kids, and using the whole, everybody's system in the whole house. It's fantastic. I was wondering whether it works from room to room, whether you'd actually just suddenly wake a kid up or whatever, or can you do it at a distance even?
What's its range?
We didn't produce an impact in live, but it works over the distance.
Right.
You can connect to sessions over a distance. This particular piece wasn't produced with that in mind, so you won't get the best listening experience, but technically that's no problem.
Which of course takes this whole technology in loads of other directions. So not in this project, but you could also make a whole house, if you like, some incredible sonic performance immersive space.
The multi-loudspeaker house will connect.
Yeah, connect across the country as well.
Yeah.
I tried it, I had to be in a conference, I tried it, and there were people dialing in from Manchester, people dialing in from London, and the sound was split between them, although it all remains in sync. So I think if you were to design a story that was designed to work, it would be kind of interesting.
Now, is this potentially a game changer for you? So
I think it opens up a lot of possibilities, but it creates a lot of questions as well, because the production process for this was we were embarking on something that hadn't been done before, so there were a lot of things we were kind of making up as we went along. It took longer than we would normally spend producing a 15-minute drama.
Yeah, it's a bit more complex. Making it in stereo. What was the
So Tony touched on the production workflow, where we had to kind of capture what the producer wants to achieve when they don't know what loudspeakers they're going to have available to them. So normally they know I'm producing for 2 loudspeakers, but in this case it could be 2, it could be 10, and it's got to work just as well. But then what happens if one of the connected phones gets a phone call and drops out? So we have to capture enough data that we can flexibly change where the sounds are routed to, and do that in an intelligent way. So that was a big challenge.
Okay, well, thank you to you both. So that's John Frankham and Tony Chernside. If you want to try that experience out, go to our website, bbcworldservice.com/clip. So we're going to start on an entertainment theme now, but we're going into the cinema to hear about a really kind of unusual idea, the kind of cinema that's much more interactive than it might usually be. Now, this is the story of a World War I conscientious objector that comes back to Walter's great-granddaughter where she buries his ashes 100 years on. Our reporter Madeline Finley has been access to the production team there, putting together this whole piece that's actually being played out in cinemas between Germany and the UK this weekend. And Madeline was interested in finding out more about what was going on as they prepared for the weekend's event.
I'm here at the Blast Theory Studios in the UK on a pretty chilly day in front of a very unassuming building. But I know that inside they're in rehearsals for Bloody Minded, a film commissioned to commemorate 100 years since the end of World War I. I'm going to head in and catch up with Nick, who's been working on the technology side of things. Hi, come in.
My name is Nick Tanavanich, and I'm one of the 3 artists in Blast Theory.
Nick, how did you come to make interactive films?
One of the keys for us around making work is really finding ways to bring that sense of excitement of a live event and being present at something. The kind of excitement you get when you go to the theatre or when you go and see live music. Finding ways to do that online or digitally has been kind of core to us moving forwards, and that's how we ended up trying to shoot a film in a single continuous take without any breaks and transmit that live to cinemas.
It's an interactive film, so how are people actually interacting?
Well, the technology is surprisingly simple. It's very much like YouTube Live, or Facebook Live, or Instagram Live, those same streaming software platforms. But if you want to interact with the film, you come to bloodyminded.org. There we have the stream, and at different points within the film, you'll see questions come up, and at those points you'll be able to give your own opinions.
Do you think the blend of film and technology we're going to see more often?
Well, one of the things that's changed with the advent of video streaming and video on demand and all these kind of different film services, I think there's just been a diversification in how we watch film. We're really keen on how we might use virtual environments within the context of more participatory and more social works. And we've also been looking at LiDAR and using drone-based scanning to build virtual environments that people can collaborate in.
Although I'm really liked the idea of drones in virtual environments, I was keen to understand more about why they decided to make a whole feature film with a live stream to submit comments and interact with other audience members. One of Blast Theory's founders, Matt Adams, sat down with me in their editing suite to explain.
So there have been loads of experiments with films and TV around interactivity where you change the story or you change what a character does. We're not interested in that at all. Instead, what happens is that the whole film is narrated by Harold, who is a conscientious objector from World War I, and he invites you to share things with him. So we are creating a bespoke app for viewers in the cinema, and online there is a chat window into which you can make submissions, and it will also be posted on Facebook, so there is a chance for people who just want to chat about the film in real time. So there is a sense in which there's sort of a collective conversation is going on that is part of and alongside the film.
The fact that you're putting this film online, are you interested to see different reactions from potentially people around the world?
Yeah, I think we've always been fascinated by how, as a society, we either opt in or opt out of trying to change the world. We started our research by looking at conscientious objectors in World War I. I was astonished to learn just how brave those people had to be in order to follow that path. It will be fascinating to see how these questions resonate with people in this country compared to people who come from around the world.
I love to ask questions during the film, and normally it annoys everyone around me. So do you think, this could be a bit distracting?
Places in which you're invited to interact are very carefully chosen. We're looking to keep a cinematic experience, and then at the same time to find these moments where the film just opens up and the invitation is there for you to share something.
Now, I don't want you to give away everything in the film, but maybe you could give me a quick synopsis.
Yeah, we follow SJ as she tries to get inside the British Army base to carry out an action that she thinks is really important.
Matt really wasn't giving much away, although he did reveal that the narrator Harold would be bringing the comments and submissions into the film somehow. So as Matt went off to get ready for rehearsals, I stuck around to see what else I could find out. The actors have just started their read-through in preparation for the live filming later on this week, and I can see through the window of the studio they're all sat around a table with the scripts in front of them, so I'm going to sneak in and have a little preview of the film. Then as the film starts, Harold introduces himself.
I am delighted that you can. So, take the time to sit and talk.
So there we are, that's the cast there rehearsing for Bloody Minded playing across cinemas this weekend. So, Glenn Boddington, I know that you know these people well. Blast Theory, what do you make of this project?
Yes, I do know Blast's work well for many years, and I think they've been leading on user participation into interactive theatre and cinema, but in a way which is not just you doing stuff, it's actually joining you into conversation, into debate, and actually having a say. It's always activist, and it's got moral discussion or ethical discussion within it, so really make people face things within the experience itself. This is the cinema one, immersive, very immersive, psychological, and I think it's very interesting what they said about trying to get different reactions from different parts of the world to this story.
Yeah, and it's going to make the cinema experience very different, isn't it? You can interact with it during the film. That is unusual.
Yes, and I think they are high level on scoring, actually, interactivity. They do massive big sheet scorings, timings and what comes in where, and actually it relates really strongly into the surround sound and the item we've just done, because I think we should all meet up and do stuff together. It'd be great.
Yeah. I want to go to TV as well from this radio drama example. What's going on, Glenn Boddington? Would you look at the time? We're going to have to leave it there. Thanks so much to producers and Yelitha Rovich. I'm Gareth Mitchell. See you next week, and goodbye. Right, but before we go home, I think we should do some podcast extra material, and we still have John Frankham, who's still with us from BBC R&D, and Tony Churnside, who is over there at BBC Salford. Are you in that kind of broom cupboardy place in the reception?
I am, and it's very dimly lit in here, so I'm always falling asleep.
Oh well, try not to keep you awake too long then. If you can just hang on for another 10 minutes, I think we'll be done with you.
Yes.
It's really nice to have you both back and just to find out a little bit more about what you're doing. We heard there in the programme, Tony, about